well accepted approach is geotesting. So here is an example of states in the country. You can use first-party data to basically score the states into tiers. Okay, it doesn't have to be tiers. It can be just a continuous sort of a score. But a good mental model for you to have is what is my penetration rate? What is my propensity to convert for audiences in Massachusetts and Rhode Island and Oregon and blah blah compared to Kentucky, Oklahoma, whatever. And then you can tier the states. And now you're trying to select control and test markets in such a way that, for example, a big market like California is a tier 3 state. I want to find a tier 3 state that's a small market, maybe Rhode Island, okay? Rhode Island's a bad example, maybe Connecticut, right? Connecticut and Massachusetts are similar kind of tiers, but one is small, one is big, right? Therefore, in a small market, you can test, you can turn off the media and the business impact will be fairly low. You can scale into in the market, and the amount of budget you need to scale in will be fairly low. But now, whatever results you get in Massachusetts can be sort of extrapolated to California, Nevada, and Florida because they're similar markets, right? That's the broad idea of geotesting, which is to cluster markets together, find statistical twins, so to speak. They always talk about matched markets, so they think about market A and market B. Typically, it's more of like a grouping, right? You cluster markets together and pick small and big markets and pair them together and say, well, my small market here represents this tier of markets here, and therefore I'm going to pick like 4 markets in these different tiers and create a cell that I will test with. Okay, that's geotesting. Okay, now we're going to go through a holdout testing. Holdout testing is also another word for incrementality test. We're holding out media. We're going to go through an actual sort of classroom example. All right, take this example. This is the control markets, right? We're going through this exercise, identifying the big markets. In this case, New York, California, Texas, Virginia, New Jersey. These are the markets that have the biggest market share for this. Let's call it a fashion brand. And 60% of the conversions and revenue comes from those 5 markets. Okay, so they represent a big share of the rev share of that particular brand. Okay, now they are spending this split of dollars in market. They're spending 45% in Google, 33% in Facebook, about 22% in Snap. The overall revenue in those 5 markets is 15.3 million. Let's say it's for a quarter. Okay, last quarter. Okay, all right. Now, let's take a cell. We'll identify small markets: Rhode Island, Nevada, South Carolina, Kentucky, Tennessee. All these markets together only comprise 7% of the total rev share. So it's somewhat small, right? So you're like, okay, it's not a huge portion of the business. But it's enough that I can read it, but not big enough that I'd be worried about losing all this business. Okay. Now, similar kind of percentage of media being spent. It's a $1.8 million of total revenue as opposed to 15. So clearly the smaller portion of the business. And then what we do is we do a holdout treatment on this particular market. So we take out Facebook in this case. So 33% of the budget was Facebook. It goes to 0. So in these 5 markets, there's no Facebook support. Okay. Now what we are trying to understand is what happened to revenue. So in this particular case, we observed through counterfactual prediction that revenue should have been here when we turned off media, but it actually dropped to here. It went to 1.32 million as opposed to 1.8 million. It dropped 26%. This 26% drop in revenue is now attributed to no Facebook support in market. Therefore, it is now interpreted that the Facebook's contribution to your total business is 26%. Okay, let me pause right there. Okay, now remember this 26%. Now we know that Facebook's contribution is 26%. Now what we do is we go back to the overall. We go to a reference period. Could be that 4 weeks before or any other reference period that's reasonable. You take the total number of conversions in that time period. Calculate 26% conversions. That turns out to be 2,600 conversions in this particular time period. So we know this is the lifted conversions from Facebook. This is our estimate, absolute estimate for lifted conversions from the Facebook program. Then we go to Facebook's ads manager and say, hey, Facebook ad manager, for the same time period, give me your reporting. What do you say is the last click conversions? It could be 1 day click, one day view. It could be 1 day view, 7 day click, whatever you're using that you're comfortable with. You go pull that from Ads Manager. And now Ads Manager tells you that, hey, I know I drove 5,600 conversions for you. You're like, thank you, appreciate it. but I measured you independently. I know that you only drove 2,600 conversions, and therefore the multiplier is 48%. So I can now say that every time Facebook reports their campaigns, I'll attach a 0.48 or a 48% number to it, and I'll report out my incremental conversions on an ongoing basis by using a multiplier I tested with your real-time reporting that Facebook gives me for a last click basis, right? Now what you've done, you unlocked operational incremental reporting for your business on Facebook with one test, okay? I mean, obviously you have to test multiple times. There's a lot of different ways you can keep calibrating, but what you've just done is you unlocked it, right? And this is basically the big operational sort of mantra you want to take away, right? Now, this is multipliers on the Facebook Ads Manager reporting. You can say, well, I'm not a big Facebook Ads Manager guy. We're kind of all live in Google Analytics. Google Analytics is our religion. Well, great. Go calculate a multiplier based on Google Analytics. Google Analytics reported 600 conversions, but you saw 2,600 conversions. So the multiplier is 900%, right? So now every time GA reports a number, you multiply it by 9, and that's your Facebook incremental number, right? Now, there's a lot of theory on which base attribution system you should pick, and we'll talk about that, why you should pick one over the other for different channels. And you can pick one over the other. And that's the beauty of this approach, where you can take a heterogeneous approach for every channel. One channel can use platform reporting and a geotest. Another channel can use Google Analytics reporting and a MMM, media mix model provided contributions, and can bring them together in a heterogeneous fashion and get the best of all worlds and get the best outcomes measurement for those channels, okay? That's the quick takeaway here, okay? Let me quick pause here before I go to the next use case.